Okay, let's say you wanted to figure out whether you had cockroaches in your house. And in order to do that, you were going to use a PCR test. What a PCR test would do is multiply your house anywhere from 28 to 35 times. So you end up with 35 couches, 35 stoves, 35 microwaves, 35 bathtubs, yada, 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 35 houses. In the process, you've also multiplied the small, tiny little sample of cockroaches that are in your home to 35 times that. So you have a measurable sample. Doing that, you scare the shit out of yourself thinking you have an infestation of cockroaches in your home, when in fact a targeted bait trap would have been far more effective than what we're doing now, which is essentially fumigating the entire fucking house, leaving deadly chemicals all over the place so that we touch them and they get in our mouths and we touch them on our skin and it permeates, right? And we've made a toxic environment for ourselves now, which doesn't stop the cockroach. And the kicker is, let's say you did that, it doesn't stop the cockroaches from coming back. It also doesn't stop the cockroaches from going to your neighbor's house and infesting them. So what I'm trying to say is the PCR tests are bullshit. They were bullshit from the beginning. They knew they were bullshit from the beginning. We've predicated everything we've done off of PCR tests. We scared ourselves into thinking we were in a pandemic, that there was a virus spreading that we couldn't stop, and it was in everyone. And I mean, you could turn the dial up to a certain amount of cycles. Like I said, the analogy with the house. I mean, if you turn it to, let's say 12, let's multiply it by 12, you don't have a large enough sample of cockroaches, the virus, the spike protein. You don't have enough example of cockroaches to positively say that you are infested with cockroaches. If you turn it up to 28 to 35 times, everybody on the fucking block's got cockroaches, when in fact they don't. In fact, they might have just a little bit of, whatever, a few cockroaches outside the door or something. I saw a cockroach on the floor, so I lay a trap and then they're gone. I don't have to make my home a toxic wasteland in order to solve the problem, or so they say, the problem. And before I stop, that's how PCR tests work. They don't. They weren't designed to specifically look for coronavirus spike protein. Half of our body is bacteria and virus. Viruses produce spike proteins. If you're indiscriminately testing for spike proteins that are in your body already, well then that's a false test. That's fraudulent. I mean, can I say how many cycles my test will be? If I go to get tested, I say, oh, well, only do 10 cycles so that I know I won't be tested positive and I won't have to go through all this bullshit. No, it's whatever they do. When I say they, I mean state governments, federal governments, all of these bureaucratic agencies that are trying to scare the shit out of us into compliance. They're the ones that control how many cycles we're using. The PCR tests are bullshit. Stop living in fear.